Hello and welcome back to Christine Austin Ill Life Now channel. And today I have a special guest with us. This is going to be Paul Chambers, who now runs his own agency, the Chambers Group. He is a husband to a beautiful, supportive wife and a father to 4 children. And he started with the Miles Group back in June of 2017, and he hit his first 6-figure income in September 2018. That's right, in 9 months, he made over 6 figures in this business. Now, in 2018, he realized a lot about his business and what changes he needed to make in order to be successful. And we had our first interview back in December 2018, where he broke down the importance of being organized and working your leads effectively. Further ado, let me introduce you to Paul Chambers. Welcome back, Paul. Welcome back. So, as you know, the theme of this session for this interview, right? Have you ever heard the saying, you have to play the cards you were dealt in this life?
I have, and I actually didn't give it really too much thought until you started making it a thing.
Yeah.
Man, I can't believe those pictures. I was just like, wow, some of that stuff seems like forever ago, and some of it seems just like yesterday. And then you just think how much has changed in like that time frame. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I use that as a baseline to do much better at these than I did then. We'll see if it worked at all.
It's amazing. It's amazing. You figure it. Our last video was 2018. We're in 2021.
Yeah, it's crazy.
2021. A lot has changed since then. And, you changed the game. You were top producer, as we've seen all the trophies that you were able to accomplish to win within our agency. And now you're a manager. You're a manager doing big things. You've learned how to be profitable in your business, right? So tell us a little bit about yourself now as a manager.
I know it's your interview, but I did kind of want to go back to the deck of cards thing. So
Awesome.
I guess kind of take me through that. I was looking at, I'm pulling it up on my screen because I sent it over. So the message then, is it just dealing with the deck we have, or are we just trying to get a new deck?
Okay, so the theme of that is you have been dealt, the way that we've been raised, our parents, the way that they have instilled in us, the different things that they believe, right? Society and what they believe, how if we were raised this way, this is what our outcome should be, right? And then even some things that we've done that our, result is you should be here. But you can change it. You literally can just throw that whole hand in, change your mindset, connect with different people, build yourself up, join different opportunities, right? Do what they tell you to do, and literally take another hand and say, okay, I had 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s. Now I have a king, a queen, an ace, a deuce, a joker, or 2. And that means that I have more control over my life and the things that I'm doing today. Whereas some people would have said, for me as an example, I should have always been in an office job, right? Like that's what you went to school for. You were great at, the corporate world, but now you're here running around with no schedule. That's what they believe, right? And making all this money. Like, how was that even possible? How was it possible? Because I decided to change that hand that I was dealt. And so that is the narrative of it. So many individuals come into this opportunity broken, and they have to change in order to hit the success level. They have to change because like today, you're nowhere near the same person you were. How many years ago was it now? 5?
What, that I got here?
Yeah.
3.5.
3.5. Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
3.5 years,
Like
right?
I've been around forever, huh?
It does. That's where you have been, like from the beginning. I'm like 9 years in. I'm like, you weren't here with me in the beginning? What do you mean you weren't
Three
here,
and a
Paul?
half.
But yeah, yeah.
So I'm glad you put it that way, because you're right. And you mentioned business, but just in life, I was someone that was like, these are the hands I was dealt. All right, these cards suck. This is the red deck. Give me the blue deck. Right. I just wanted a new deck. And when I started thinking about that question, I remember my grandmother sitting at camp for hours upon hours every day playing solitaire. Right. Same deck, but and I guess I don't even know how to play the game, but eventually the goal was to beat the devil, is what she said, right? And man, that's pretty powerful when you think about it. That is because the devil's always trying to take us out. So it was the same deck that she played with hour after hour, day after day, and you just keep flipping them over.
Mhm.
Right? Because you might get an ace. That's supposed to be great. Well, that ace isn't doing you any good if it's not set up with the right things around it. Right. So I thought it was a perfect analogy. And I just wanted to make sure that you weren't saying, hey, that deck they told you, that's the hand you've been dealt, just go get a new deck, because that was one of the things that held me back in life. We look at it initially just business wise, but really it's personally. That's the stuff that held me back, was that I would just try to go find some new cards to play with. Hell, give me some old maid, Uno, whatever, you know, a pinochle deck. I got a better shot, shortcuts, all that stuff. When everything we need is in that deck, you just got to get it in order. Got to get rid of the jokers. That's a big part,
Yeah.
right? You got to get the jokers out of there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I couldn't agree with that more. And our business is just like that, top to bottom, start to finish. I would do a thing in training when we were doing them in person with agents, and I would actually deal out cards. And if there was 4 agents, they would each get 12 to 13 cards. And I told them that the face cards are yeses, the rest of them are nos.
Mm-hmm.
Start flipping them over. Well, some agents, they get the face cards off the top. This business is the greatest ever. These leads are amazing, Chrissy. Some people get the 2s and 3s, right? They're tapping out. I then give their cards to the other person, and what ends up happening? They had a bunch of jacks, kings, and queens in there. So that was totally irrelevant to your question, but it's kind of the same thing.
It is actually the same thing, and the beautiful thing about these interviews is when I'm talking to different agents and managers, what they come up with the deck of cards is blowing my mind. Like, it's amazing, because that is a true way that you could use the card even in this business, as, hey, when you're door knocking, you have a week, you may, like you said, you may have a stellar week and have all these kings and queens and aces, and then you have all the 2, 3, 4s and 5s, and
These leads
no,
suck.
it's the no shows, it's the people that left you on the porch, it's the people that said, oh, I changed my mind right after you left the house, it's the people that are broke or just straight up crazy. You have all of that.
Yeah.
And then you have the people that are like, here's my checkbook, I've been waiting for you.
You just got to stay in the game to get to them.
Yes. Yeah. Oh my God. I love how you put that together. And you decided really fast that you wanted to be a manager. And in that, how was that transition for you, going from top producer, making, once you figured out how to keep your money, making all this money, and then saying, okay, now I need to go into, or I want to become a manager, and understanding that took a dip a little bit in your production, because you're doing 20, 30, 40,000 a month. And then it's boom, I need to learn how to manage, recruit, all of the things that go into that. Tell us a little bit about that for you.
So you said the key word, learn. And I know you had sent me some things that you wanted to talk about. And I think that, like, actually the next 3 all sort of run together, right? Like, what's that transition like? What would you tell someone trying to do it? I think the first one. So as far as a manager now, yeah, we've been able to do great things. Our team, um, I you know, was recognized as an MGA in July of 2019. So that was pretty much almost 2 years to the day of when I started. Um, Took us, you know, there was a lot of learning there, and I'll talk a little bit about that. Um, you know, that goal once you become an MGA is to then get to 100,000. So we were able to do that in March of 2020. So that took 7 months to get there. Um, you know, just by doing the little things every day, I would, because I keep track of all the numbers, I was blown away that the very day that Lincoln issued an MGA number was the very day that our team went over $1 million in production in total. So it happened actually faster than I had, I don't want to say expected because I had goals, but back to your original question, I don't think that, you know, when you come in and especially if you do well, it just sort of like that's supposed to be the next thing, right? Oh, you're going to grow a team. And a lot of people say that's what they're going to do. And that's cool. And then I realize, what in the hell does that even mean? What am I supposed to do?
Right.
Right. And you know, I went through all of that stuff at the beginning. What am I supposed to do? Well, you got to find people. All right. How do I do that? You know, and people were telling me, my communication skills were horrible. My mindset towards it was horrible. There were plenty of times where I'd be driving home from having a good day personally with production and then would get some news about an agent and be pissed off, punching the steering wheel, forget this. You know, it's just easier for me to go write 30 grand. And anyone that has done both will tell you that it is easier just to go write 20 or 30 grand. And I didn't know what I wanted to do then, because I was still learning the business, you know, and I was only looking at the now money. I didn't have a full comprehension of what that looked like long term. And I had a conversation with someone who I greatly respect and admire. He's in Florida, and he actually told me, he said something to me that was so powerful, and it was actually something that Troy had said to him, because I was sharing those frustrations. You know, I wasn't being negative. I was just venting frustrations to someone who I knew wouldn't co-sign.
Right.
And he told me, he said, "Hey man, you can go write business your whole damn life and you can make a whole lot of money. But those contracts will make you rich." And I'm like, what do you mean by that? Right. So I didn't really understand, because I was just looking at the right now, you know, my money wasn't straight, you know, to a point where like I was basically still living on advances then. And most people should be at that stage, you know, it wasn't even a year yet. So that was very profound to me. So I knew that I had to make that transition. But I just kept working, and I was starting to recruit, really didn't know what I was doing. I was just investing in a program that Lincoln has, which is great for someone who doesn't know marketing, doesn't have the time, you know, to be writing and placing ads, doesn't understand the platforms, all of that stuff. That's a great scenario for you if you're in that transition. So I was acquiring agents, but I was still running into a lot of that frustration that causes a lot of people to tap out when they start to grow, right? Where you're just dumping all of this time into someone, and you have no control over what is going on in their head, right? We all love Chrissy, but nobody knows whether or not Chrissy's just going to jump ship come Monday. We don't.
We do not.
You would.
We have no idea
that you would, but we have no idea. And I'll get to how to deal with that part of it. But So it was just activity at that point. So I was bringing on partners, and they were starting to learn, you know, and we did then, you know, hit that mark that where Lincoln would identify someone as an MGA. So at that time, it was a team doing 40,000, 3 straight months, only 10,000 of my own counted, but a huge portion of that was my own, especially after that, you know, when my own could count whatever. Right. So, you know, the next step that people want to get to, okay, now I want to get to 100,000, right? That's like the next thing you're supposed to do. And I didn't see a lot of people doing that. And I had to find out why. Right.
Right.
So, and it was just by watching and listening and learning. The other thing that you would always hear is that, you know, especially by some of the people that are just looking for a reason, is, oh man, yeah, you weren't here 10 years ago, you can't get out of the field. And I'm like, well, that doesn't
That's so
sound
crazy.
Right. Like, I don't really know that I agree with that. So I knew I had to get my money to a certain place, because one of the reasons when people will reach out, right, and say, hey man, I want to grow a team, can you help me do that? First thing I ask them is why? Why do you want to grow a team?
Very good question.
And most people have no answer, or because I feel like I'm supposed to, I feel like that's the next step. Well, when you came in as an agent, you knew why you wanted to be an agent. So how could you reasonably expect to successfully start a team if you don't even know why?
Yes.
And that really stumps them a lot of times. What I realized though, because I did make that commitment, I knew that the way that we were operating then, it was sort of a I don't know if you want to call it a guideline or a strong suggestion or a whatever, that if your team wasn't at $100,000, that you had to be writing 10.
Yes.
Okay. Now, whenever like my activity is consistent, I can do 10,000 in a week, no problem. However, as I was continuing to bring on partners, there's only so many hours in the day, and you have to be there for them all day, every day. You know, I can't not take their call because I'm running leads, because that person that they are in front of while they call me, that could be their mortgage payment.
Yes.
So,
and most of the time that is their mortgage payment.
Yeah.
Their rent or their car note. Absolutely.
So I hit a point where I was really struggling with that, you know, because I had people that I respected, that I looked up to, that were telling me that. And it took a conversation with someone who I respect a lot, someone I built a relationship with out of Tennessee. He was up here visiting. Sat down with him, and we're just shooting it back and forth, you know, just throwing ideas at each other. And I told him, I said, man, it's kind of like a taboo thing, but here's how I feel about that. And he's like, screw it, do it. Yes. I'm like, huh? And he said, if that's what you think you need to do, then do it.
Jump.
And I was like, all right. So I had made the commitment to myself that once my pay through hit a level that was enough to take care of all of my bills, that I was going to make.
Do you mind sharing that level? Do you mind sharing that amount that was your goal?
Yeah, well, my household bills at that time were like just under 6,000.
Okay.
I wanted my pay through to be like at about 7.
Awesome.
I still didn't know a lot about the business though, so that sounds great, right?
Yeah.
So I made that commitment and I stuck to it. I was immediately willing to sacrifice, right, a lot of that front end money, because I had to. And a lot of people, you know, you got to think so much. Anyone that's watching this that is like torn about what to do or how to handle things as a manager, or if you're growing an agency, you've got to associate it the exact same way that you associated your business as an agent with your leads, as you do with your agency and your agents. So what I mean by that is, when I had started, you know, I believed in myself with the business. So I made that sacrifice of sleeping, you know, going on the road with no money and sleeping in hotels where I had to leave my pants and shoes on and sleep in a hoodie because it was that bad. I made that sacrifice of, you know, taking out all those high interest credit cards to fund my business because I was willing to keep going. I made that sacrifice to purposely mess up the reorganization paperwork to keep my house out of foreclosure, to buy myself another month. I was willing to make all of those sacrifices then, but see, that pay through spoils us.
Talk about it.
Because why was I then not willing? I was doing that with no money in a business that I knew nothing about, but I believed in me.
Yes.
Why was I not willing to do that for an agency that I wanted to build? That was a question I had to ask myself. And what happens is, for me, is that we're not willing to make that sacrifice because we get real comfy and cozy knowing that pay through is going to be there. And that breeds complacency.
True.
And that's why a lot of people, whatever level they're at, their income sort of gets stuck, right? Their team's production sort of gets stuck because we suddenly become less willing. And when I say we, I talk about me. So I had to break out of that. The other part of it was that I needed to be able to say, after that talk I had with that individual, I need to be able to basically say, screw you and your guideline. This is my business. Strip whatever title off me you want. This is what I'm doing.
Yes.
So that's what I did, right? But I didn't realize that I didn't know anything about it. And that is where I think a lot of people fall off in the beginning. They have no business plan whatsoever for their agency, right? How can you expect to build a business without a business plan, right?
Because people don't believe this is a business. That is so powerful.
We say it is,
yes.
Right? How can you reasonably expect to build a successful business without a 30, 60, 90-day business plan? Because if you're starting a business that requires a bank loan, you damn well better have one.
Amen. Amen.
Right?
Absolutely.
So I had to do that. And as I was doing that, you know, it wasn't easy. What I realized is that pay through that people get real cushy with, I learned the difference between like the part of my pay through that is still a part of my first year commission versus the part of my pay through that is renewals. I learned that. Yes. You know how I learned that? I learned that because my pay through hit 10,000 and then went to 9. And I'm like, wait a second, what is happening right now? Well, Paul, in October of 2018, you wrote 33,000 in production. In October of 2019, you wrote 4. But I'm building an agency. Right. Good for you.
Good for you.
Don't get it, kid. But now renewals are great. Now I've learned that that's my real money. Right.
Right.
And a lot of people don't even look at that. I didn't look at it until I had to, like, hold up. So, you know, so now I'm stuck, right? Because I see that happening. I have people around me telling me, you got to be doing 10 grand if your team's not doing 100. But in my mind, I don't think that you can have both. You can, but I wasn't trying to get to 100,000. I was trying to be $100,000 agency. I didn't want to just get there. I needed to be there because that was the next step in the process. So, what I realized, I remember, because all the stuff's in my head, and I'm like, I've had it, man. I'm exhausted. I got a batch of leads. I went out. And I remember exactly where I was sitting in New Kensington, Pennsylvania. Pull up to the first house. And I have Billy Allsbrooks in my head talking about being in your calling, right?
Yes.
And he said, just because you do something every day does not mean that it is your calling.
Yes.
Right. So
yes.
This business did teach me to have a passion for helping people, and to work on myself and all of that stuff. But what I realized was that my calling was not to write policies. I can do that. My calling was to show people how to change their lives.
Their lives. Yes.
And the reason that I wasn't getting it, I mean, I was still successful. Like as an MGA, my team was doing like 50, 60,000 over those first 6 months, but it still wasn't clicking. And I was sitting in New Kensington, Pennsylvania with these new leads on my front seat. That door was so incredibly hard to open. And I get a text message from Raheem, ironically. And he says, bro, you got to check this dude out. And it was a little 5-minute video about this marketing guru. And the guy just spoke my language, very direct, very real. I don't want to say I'm professional. Sometimes certain words resonate deeper. He knew that's my style. And I watched that, and it was only like a 5-minute little free thing, right? And I'm like, man, in this 5 minutes, I just realized I'm doing it all wrong, and I don't know shit.
Yeah. You talking about David Goggins?
No, not yet. No, that was Billy Jean. He's just a marketing guru.
Yes.
So I go home. Now, clearly, Billy Jean's marketing strategy worked. It's a 5-minute video. I buy everything. Poof, right? So that worked. But I start watching this information, and I realized I was out there working, but I wasn't learning a thing. I spent, at that moment, that was in the very beginning of December, I literally spent that entire month. I mean, I'm talking from probably 5 a.m. in the morning until I couldn't keep my eyes open, taking in all of this information, teaching myself how to do this. All of these different things from like he had these worksheets, and I'd be doing them all. And where to spend your money, ad placements, verbiage. I thought I was writing these brilliant ads, right, to recruit people. They were exactly what not to do, all of them. I just didn't know. I just buried myself in it. And the last part that really lit the fire, and I don't even know if you remember this, but we were getting some things set up, and someone sent out a text message, and they accidentally sent it to the wrong group. You were on that message. It wasn't for you. We were both not supposed to be on that message.
Right.
And that message alluded to, it was just some comments, and it said, meanwhile, we got MGAs doing 600 in production. And by no coincidence, that was my production in December. I'm like, that is exactly what I needed. Because while someone was seeing a result of 600, what they don't know is that I'm in the lab.
Yes.
And I'm educating myself, and I'm filling my brain with this business, and I'm about to kick your ass in this business. And from then on, everything changed. I believe that the reason, and I share this because I've heard it from Mark Cuban, but the reason that a lot of people don't make it when they're growing an agency is a lack of brains and a lack of effort. And I don't mean that they're dumb and lazy. What I mean is that they're not always constantly trying to learn. It is changing every single day. And now it's almost like a paranoia in me where I feel like if I'm not learning something today, and because we're all in a vacuum, right? And it's we're all trying to accomplish the same thing. So if I can get up a little bit earlier, if I can learn a little bit more, if I can watch one more video, if I can read one more thing on personal development, right? I'm staying ahead. So I really, look at every second of the day like I have to do this, because if I don't, someone else is trying to take me out. People are clearly watching. If they're sending text messages with my production in it, they're watching.
Yes.
So if you're watching, that means you're watching because you're trying to kick my ass, and I will not let that happen because of a lack of effort. If you can outlearn me and outwork me, you deserve it. But I'm not going to allow it to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So that's sort of the, I don't even know which question I'm on of yours right now.
You've covered like 3 of them. So you're great.
So that was the mindset part, right?
Right.
Now, the next part of it, when I start explaining, because there a lot of people reach out to me about this because they see the results.
Yes.
Most of the time wanting absolutely no parts of all of the things that go into that, right? And I still have people that will tell me that the way that I'm doing it doesn't work. That's cool, right? Clearly it is.
You're hearing that?
Oh, I mean, I laugh it off. I have another mentor that I reach out to that kind of, I sort of modeled a lot of what I do off of him.
Okay.
So, anytime it's a commonality that we have, because he heard the same thing. Because when you're winning, people are going to look for reasons. That's it. If they're not talking about you, you're not doing very well.
Yes.
So, the easiest way, one of the reasons, because people are like, man, I've been trying. I can't get the agents or this happens. So I'll ask them, and this usually makes it a lot simpler for them. If you're a successful agent, right? And you're, let's just use 20,000. That's kind of the first benchmark agents want to get to.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a consistent $20,000 producer and you want to build an agency and become an MGA, again, first you got to know why, right?
Yes.
If it's money motivated, you're not going to make it. But then you've got to look at, are you putting in enough? And I'm not just talking about time, because to be a consistent producer writing 20,000, you're taking at least 20 leads a week, every week, right? Now, again, there's the one-off in there, but I'm talking consistent. You're not going to find one that's not consistently taking an average 20 leads a week.
Right.
Well, we know what that financial investment is, right? And an agent that's consistently writing 20,000 doesn't even blink at making that investment every single week to get to that 20,000.
Right.
Now, if we were to say to that agent, can you get there consistently without leads? Hell no. Okay. Well, then what makes you reasonably think you can build an agency by spending $100 a month? Because why? Right? You're straight up saying adamantly that you need to be spending this to write this much production. Why would you not think you need to spend the same to build a $50,000 agency or $100,000 or $1 million agency? You can't have both. Now, again, you'll have the one-off, right? Where maybe, organically you pick up an agent or two and they knock it out of the park, and that's great. That'll get you to 50, but that's not going to have you be a $50,000 agency, because you can't control what is going on in their mind. So that's the first part of it, right? So I want to tell me what you did. I want to do the same thing. All right, cool. I spend about $2,500 to $3,000 a month in either, in marketing, whether that is straight up ads, whether that is on, the website hosting fees, whether that is on you know, the different click funnels, the different text message campaigns, all the scheduling app, all of that stuff.
All of the things.
Right, roughly 2,500 to 3,000 a month. Are you willing to spend that? I don't know if I can spend that right now. What are you talking about? You just spent it on leads with no problem. Do you really want this? Right? Then people get caught up in their feelings, right? People get caught up in their feelings. An agent, you know, you pour into someone and it's just not for that agent. They leave. Maybe they leave you with a little bit of debt. Man, to hell with that. I don't want to grow. All you do is get stuck with that. Well, wait, hold up. Mr. $20,000 agent. You get chargebacks, right? You don't have 100% persistency. So when a client tells you one thing and cancels the next day, you get hit with that chargeback. Are you still getting leads? Hell yeah. You're still writing business? I have to. Well, what's the difference?
Wow.
What's the difference? There's no difference.
Wow. Perspective.
So
never even heard that. Never ever heard it that way. But you're right. You're 1,000% right. Wow. I'm gonna have to mark that in the video. Like, you might want to go to this point in this video and hear this one part. Wow.
But there really is absolutely, it's identical. It is identical. Why is it different though? Comfort. Comfort.
Yeah.
Right? It's kind of like nowadays, if my cable gets shut off, it's cool. I got Wi-Fi. I can stream something.
Right.
We shut off all the electric. Now we got a problem.
But have that generator running. Get that generator next level. So, yes.
It's the exact same thing.
Wow.
Am I supposed to wait for you to ask me the question, or do I just
go
to the next part?
No, you go.
One of the things, Tanya Miles calling me. See, 8 a.m. on a Sunday. Your business always better be open. One of the other things is the feelings part of it, and that is real. And I would say that is probably the number one reason. The other one being, the only part I would have added to that previous one is the difference with that money being spent. People aren't patient, right? When we buy leads, that investment, I can get them at 6:30 a.m. and by 9, I can have them paid for.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
That investment with the others, you just got to play through it. However, the part about the feelings, I would say that is probably the number one reason, you know, why people tap out, right? They catch a roll up, they take it personal. Not only did I pour everything into her, and she left me with debt.
Yeah.
Right. So even though we're not saying, not only did I pour into Mrs. Smith and help fill the need, she still gave me a charge back. It's the same thing. But the great Barry Rader, who we lost way too early, I only had one conversation with him because he passed suddenly shortly after I became an MGA. And that was the only time I'd ever met him in person. That we had a meeting out in Columbus, and I get out of my car and I'm like, oh, it's Barry Rader, right? But I'm just walking and he yells my name. I'm like, God, the dude knows my name. It's like, he knows my name, right?
So I go over. So
I go over, and he's just so chill. And he's like, so you're an MGA now? And I'm like, that's what they're telling me, Barry. And he said, what do you find most challenging? I said, honestly, the agents, man. I said, it's hard. I said, I had a dude that came on board that I thought, you know, I was friends with and everything. And he just wanted to go a different direction, left me with all this debt and all this stuff. And it really tested me. And he said, and he put his arm on my shoulder even, and you could probably picture Barry the way that he talks.
Yeah.
And he said, I'm going to tell you something that will immediately eliminate all of that if you allow it to. And I'm like, dude, you got me. Very rarely am I able to 100% focus, but right now I got to know. And he asked me which college sport I like the most. I said, football. He said, great. Who's your favorite team? I said, it's not about a favorite team. I said, but I read and like a lot of what Nick Saban does. And he said, perfect example. He said that program, right, the Alabama football program, year in and year out, is one of the top programs in the entire country. Like, yes, they are. He goes, why is that? I said, they got a system in place. And he said, that's only a very small part of it. And I'm like, I better keep listening. And he said, every year, you know, you get these one-offs that'll crack the top 10. He said, but then while they are, you know, celebrating in New Orleans and popping bottles, Nick Saban is on some farm out in Kansas or Idaho somewhere looking at a 9th grader. He said, do you know why? And I'm like, because he's going to need a quarterback. He said, think about it. Nick Saban knows before the season even starts that championship team that is on the field that night will be with him 2 years tops. And I'm like, okay. And he said, your agency, all of those agents you have, you got them for 2 years tops.
Wow.
Expect them to be gone and do not ever stop replacing, right? Do not ever stop building, because what happens is a lot of people will field that national championship team and they'll just ride that wave. Well, then the seniors are gone and then the juniors are gone. And then that whole recruiting class is gone and you don't hear from them again.
Right.
Right. Now, he said along the way, you're going to find people that are going to stay on board. Mm-hmm. They're going to become great assistant head coaches, MGAs, if you will. But if you know now that team that you have that is doing whatever amount of dollars, as you stand here right now, you need to know that those individuals, in all likelihood, will be providing you $0 of production 2 years from today.
How about that?
What are you going to do about it? And for me, the analogy made sense. It lifted the weight of the world off my shoulders. It taught me that, you know, not to take an easy way, recruit someone, stick them under someone else. You know, you don't want your agency built like a Jenga.
Yeah. Lopsided. Right, I did that. I made that mistake.
One thing comes out. Yes. Right. But if it's flat and you've got all of these, you know, back to your cards, right? You can build a house of cards and slide one out and it stays. Slide another one out, it stays. But if you're building them straight up and you pull one out, down it goes. So that took so much pressure off of me because it was holding me back, because I was overanalyzing the people that were going to potentially become my business partners. You know, I was, well, are they really serious? Well, is this when? Again, we have no damn idea.
Nope.
None whatsoever. So, you know, that is, you know, for someone that's starting to build, and if you really want to build an agency, first find out why. If you just want to bring a couple people on, that's one thing. But if you're talking building an agency, you've got to have a business plan. Mm-hmm. You've got to be willing to make some serious sacrifices.
Yes.
Because you got to change your lifestyle a little bit, you know?
Yes.
You were hungry enough to do it when you got started. Why be that hungry with your agency?
Yes.
So
that's awesome. Awesome.
I'll let you chime in on your own show here.
No, this is your show. This is absolutely your show. I love it. Oh my word. So you've touched so many different things in there. I'm sitting here like, I can't wait to replay the recording to take my own notes, like, because I learned from all of you agents and managers. And you said some powerful things. So, you're going to see some quotes soon on social media with your name next to it. Like, oh, did I say that? Yes. Man, so it's completely changed your life. It's completely changed your life. All the way around. You're looking for a house right now. You've bought your wife a beautiful vehicle, right? And I rarely talk about the bling and things, because that's like after all of the hard work. But how awesome is that? I remember when you first bought your wife it was like a minivan. It was a Benz minivan, right?
The 450.
Yeah. And it's like that thing, all the daggone, the kids were opening up all the sliding doors. I remember it like it was yesterday. I swear it didn't seem like
Benz doesn't make a minivan. Come on, girl.
Well, it looks like a Benz. That thing is beautiful. It was beautiful. And then you're like, okay, what's next? What's the next thing? And what's the next thing? And you're always looking at the next thing and planning. The one thing that I definitely, out of all the interviews that I've done, nobody has really tapped into the business plan, right? And this is one of the things that I talk to my agents about. You own a business, even though you're tied in with some amazing agents and managers and with training. There's a platform, there's a company that you're linked into. This is your business. And if you don't have a plan for it, if you don't have a why for it, you're never going to go to any levels. You're just going to be right here, right? Oh my goodness. And I love the fact that you said that the pay through definitely makes a lot of us comfortable. And that is one of those things that, you're like, okay, well, when I get to this 7, 8, 9, 10,000 monthly. And for those that do not know what our pay through is, it's our residual. That's like 25% of our commission that's divided into 12 months so that we can start getting paid that monthly pay immediately. It can make you very comfortable.
Oh yeah.
It's a beautiful thing to have, especially like when you get sick, or a family member is sick that you have to care for and you're not able to produce. You do have that cushion, as long as you don't have a lot of balances to take it, which is something you didn't really touch on, but we know that part of that business. You've mentioned linking in with other managers and other mentors that may or may not even be in this industry, but they have the vision, they have the situation, the agency, the lifestyle that you want, right? We're not always going to agree with our manager, our senior manager's advice or lifestyle, or what they have. Some managers in training, their managers, they don't want to do anything like what they have. And that's okay. That's why it's a beautiful thing to be able to reach out to other people, but you have to be the one to do that. How comfortable were you to just reach out and start building these other relationships with agents and managers that are not in our family, if you will? Like, was that hard for you? Or did you just say, you know what, screw it, I'm just calling and what happens, happens?
No, I never was. One of them, one reason is because that's what I was told to do when I got here. So I did that from day one. That was always easy for me. What I also realized is that anybody that's like attracts like, right? I'm naturally attracted to people who are also obsessed with their business. We're always watching everything.
Yes.
So it's actually very easy, and it's funny, when the first time that you may have that voice to voice conversation, or the first time you meet someone in person, it's like you've known each other for years. So that part of it actually is very easy. The people directly in our group, one of the things that I'm so, and you've got to make sure you're surrounding yourself with the right people. And we have a lot of great people, in our just our direct group on our agency, but then there's other ones who I'm like real close with, And one of the reasons for that, and what I value so much, is that everybody is so incredibly humble, and they're not afraid to share mistakes that they made along the way.
Yes.
And without them openly doing that, I would not be able to avoid those same things from happening. A lot of people say to me now, man, I just wish I'd have known all this stuff then. I'd have never stopped.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And you know, so that does a lot of things. First of all, that tells me I need to keep going. I need to keep reinventing. I need to keep finding a better way. You know, all of that stuff, because I care deeply for these individuals, and then it pushes them as well.
Yes.
Right. So I'm the one that's really learning, you know, through those relationships, through their experiences, but it just makes all of us better. The other part of it is that I learned when I mentioned briefly about, you know, Billy Ellsbrooks, when he says that, you know, just because you're doing something every day doesn't mean you're in your calling. And I know you've shared what your calling is. It is to educate, mentor, develop, all that stuff. Now, this is a platform. This gives you an avenue to do that.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that that's what my calling was, but I realized it immediately the first time I got that feeling when you see something happen for someone, even though they put in the work, but you help plant that seed. That's the high.
Yes.
That's what makes, you know, the 15 agents that come and go in between that one moment so incredibly worth it. The partners that I have, I mean, man, I can't even get through talking about it almost without coming to tears when I watched lives change right in front of me just over the last year.
Yes.
You know, that we have people from completely different backgrounds, completely different, you know, life situations, males, females, different parts of the country, but we all have one common goal. None of that other stuff matters. So to watch their lives change, right? That is what makes it so easy for a roll up to just be part of the process. That's what makes it so easy to spend maybe 12 hours in 1 week with someone, and the next week they don't answer your calls, and then the next day you pop in an insurance, a state website, and they got 3 more appointments. Yeah. That's very easy to deal with when you see what your real calling is. Mm-hmm. To have a partner who I think the most she ever made in her life was 50,000, and then make 160,000. That's life changing.
It's beautiful.
You know, to watch someone who was beat up, put down, you know, really had her confidence shaken to the core. A single mom that makes no excuses. To watch someone be able to grow so much as a person, continue to be an amazing parent, and grow her income to over $120,000, like that. That's what it's all about.
That's success.
The money I make, that'll all just take care of itself. And that was one last thing about Barry Rader. That it was very profound when he told me this. I did, you know, he had a team, and prior to meeting him in person, they reached out. I talked on one of their calls, and I was sharing basically the same story that I shared on your interview. And it ended, and he called me, and he said, I got to ask you something. He said, I and we, do you do that on purpose? And I said, I don't have any idea what the hell you're talking about right now. You think like too deep for me. I'm like a high speed in your face guy, and you're more. And he said, I noticed through that whole interview that when you're talking about the pitfalls and talking about the problems that were created, you were saying, I did this, I did this, I did this. When you were talking about the other side, you're saying, we put a plan together. We realized we had to do this. We realized, and I was like, no, I didn't realize that. That's just how it went. So I thought more about it, and I'm like, man, maybe I am like actually growing. Holy crap. You know, that's it. But it also taught me to be very much aware of that, you know? So now I am able to catch, I got caught up in, I let other stuff bother me last night. I'm going to make a call with a business partner shortly after we're done.
Yes.
And I'm going to open that call with an apology, because I had a conversation last night. He probably didn't even think nearly as much about it as I have, but I made it about me and my feelings, and I had no right to do that. Right. So I need to make that right. So using kind of Barry's philosophy on that, if our, you know, we as a team, we haven't dropped below that $100,000 mark, it's been 11 straight months. If we do, at no point can I say, well, my team didn't go out and work. Well, my team, no, that's on me. Get better, dude. Get better. Get another, you know, get another wide receiver, get another tight end, train someone up. Right?
Absolutely.
Maybe if that happened this month, hey, check your record. What'd you do in November? Usually it takes, you know, people can get up and running pretty quick, but usually there's a learning curve. What'd you do in November? How many people did you bring on? How much time did you spend with the ones you did brought on? Because this has there's residual income, and there's also residual effect, right?
Yes.
And taking a month off will have a residual effect on your business that you won't feel for a couple months.
Right.
So, you know, to stay, it really helps me hold myself accountable that's on me, right? Those production numbers that look great, that's a sum total of their hard work. If that sum total isn't where it needs to be, it's not because of any one of them. It's because of me.
The leader.
It's because there was something I didn't do.
Right.
And it's very important. Some people take it personal. And I think, you know, where you need to catch yourself or surround yourself with people that will catch you is when you make that fatal mistake of saying the word "my money." As soon as we associate somebody else's efforts with our money,
yes,
you better separate yourself, and you better get deep into some personal development.
Absolutely.
Because that is not an agent thing. That's not a commission thing. It's just, you're done at that point. If you don't check yourself, or at least surround yourself with people that will make you aware of it,
right,
it's going to be very difficult.
Yeah. Definitely a business of relationships all the way around. There's no way around it. There's just no way around it. You have to build relationships with your business partners. And if they are bringing people in to help change their lives, they need to understand it's all relationships.
Yep.
From the clients to our team members to our, you know, our partners, it's all relationships. And honestly, I believe I have a video out here somewhere that talked about why a lot of agents leave Lincoln. It's usually a relationship issue with them and their upline. Nobody can talk bad about the company or getting paid every day. Like,
right.
Nobody. It's a relationship. So we definitely have to be mindful of that. Man, that's crazy, crazy. You shared a picture with me of how much you've actually put into your recruiting. You touched on it just a little bit. That's crazy. The number, you know what I mean? And how many different campaigns that you've put together to be able to attract the right people, right? And you did talk about a little bit with the Billie Jean and the marketing and learning. Like, this is the theme all the way through this interview. You have to be consistent and learning and growing and being connected with the right people. And I love this last part where you said, and being connected with the people that will basically tell you about yourself, let you know when you're wrong and when you need adjustments. And that's only for your growth, for your benefit, as well as everybody else that's following you, because your team's following you. You work for them, right? You work for them. That's why you said, I'll be darned if I'm not going to be available to answer their call. Because if I can't answer their call and they're with a client, that's them not being able to make their money, right? They're making more money than we will ever make on top of them, right?
Right.
We hurt them by not being available. And so that's one of those things that is a challenge for a lot of people who are thinking about going into management, that are in, they've already started being in management and they're trying to figure out, okay, wait a minute, how am I going to be in this field and do these numbers and be available, especially if they're building real quick, right? That's a challenge, because if you want to be the best manager, you need to be available. And so money management is key. Goals are key. Tracking is very important. I love what Diane said, what you track, you attack. I'm big on tracking, right? So powerful. And it's going on up here, your mindset. What do you believe?
And that's why I forgot all about that part. The reason I sent that to you, and Billie Jean, Billie Jean, this is not a promo for you, by the way. All you did was teach me that I didn't know anything. So I went a lot of different places. But it's about that relentless pursuit, because a lot of people will just see the results. So in 2020, I was able to contract 73
agents
at one time, partners, people, agents, 73, right? And then this speaks to the numbers of why you can't stop. So they'll just see that number. Oh, what the heck's in his ads? What are you saying? Well, no, I had to keep learning. So what I had sent her, and she'll probably have it like popping up on the screen by the time this.
Well, I mean, I can if you want me to share it. I thought you was going to share it, but I'll definitely pull that. I'll pull it up.
Is that in 2020? Yeah, right. You see that result, 73 contracts. I had to figure it out to get it right, and they always change the algorithm. So everybody wants 73 contracts, right? That netted 12,033 candidates, right? 12,033 candidates. Everybody wants that. I also hand posted 3,236 job ads.
Wow. Let me share this.
You want to do that? That takes time.
and money.
and money. But it's really, but really all that is you can't stay content. As soon as you think you have it figured out, the job boards, they don't want you to figure it out, because if you figure it out, they can't make more money off other companies, right? So they're always changing it up. You can never stop trying to learn more about your business. The second you do, somebody will take you out.
Huge.
So yeah,
and this just showed in 2020.
Yeah, I pulled 2020.
Yep. 2020. Man. So and I have one of my clients calling me. I throw it a voicemail. Hey, we work on Sundays. We work every day, as you said earlier.
Day of the week. I'll spend 8, and my family knows Sunday for me is the most important day of my work week. When we're done here, I'll go nonstop until our team meeting tonight at 7:30, because it sets up everything. That's when all of these jobs, I'll probably spend usually about 4 hours getting all the jobs ready to be posted. Last week I didn't have nearly the candidates nor nearly the amount of recruits I wanted, right? Okay. So what's that mean? Well, I got to look at a couple things. First of all, I got to look at me, right? My week was not what it should have been, right? My schedule got thrown out of whack. Just
you're human
for different reasons, right? So that doesn't mean that right away, oh man, that job network sucks. Sucks.
Right.
Find it. No, it doesn't suck. I sucked last week. That's all. Right?
Yeah.
Get better. Data is a reflection of the past, one way or the other. If it's not what you wanted, good news. You can change and make it different next week. If it is what you wanted and you sit and watch it, guess what? Next week's is going to suck. So, I mean, that's how you have to look at it and you have to attack it. So, you know, a lot of people want this, and that's cool, right? We have people that will show you how to do it, but it's a lot more than posting an ad.
Yeah.
And what are you going to do with them? Right? Or if someone comes on organically, it's a lot more than just working with that one agent. You have no control over that. So
yeah, we have no control over any of it other than our activity, what we do. That's the only thing that we have control over.
that's it.
That's it. Staying positive, productive, learning, changing. We always have to change with the times, right? Man, dude, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Is there anything else you would like to share?
Dude, I love this stuff. I'll go till noon. I mean, you got me out of carrying in Sunday morning groceries. Jenny didn't use the back. She used the front.
Oh, sorry, Jenny. She is so awesome. She is so awesome.
So,
man,
I mean, I know you'll have this, you know, you don't just post videos. I know it'll have like bells and whistles shooting out of the top and all kinds of other stuff. I mean, I love talking about this stuff with people.
yeah.
A lot of times it's one conversation. I think I help people realize maybe I really don't want all that just yet.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People, if they do, then that's cool. You know, the more of us winning, the better. I've shared, I mean, I don't have any kind of top secret information. I've shared it with, I mean, everybody in our organization knows, you know.
Yeah. And it's a beautiful thing within our team. You know, we're all under the Miles group, and you, of course, you're the Chambers group. I am the Life Now group. We have the Never Broke Again group. We have all these different agencies, but we're all still so close and we work together. And I think that's probably why, you know, the Miles group has grown the way that it has, with so many positive individuals that are being successful, that are making it in their own level of success, right? And I'm grateful. I'm grateful to be here. I'm grateful to learn. I am grateful for the people, especially you guys, because you're one of the panel for the morning calls that take the time every single day to get on a call in the morning for free and teach and train and talk and, you know, share what is going on in the industry. And that's big. It's really big. There's so many people that I talk to across the world. I mean, in different countries, people have reached out to me in different languages. And I'm like, how do I even, you know, I'm like copying the emails and putting it in Google to get the translating. And I'm like, I don't know German. I'm sorry, you know, but I thank God for that. But they're, you know, they're telling us that what we have is special, that they don't have the training. They don't have the managers that are putting time into them. They're just like, hey, here's your contract. Here, you know, you get your kit and figure it out. So I thank God for this team. And, you know, I'm just grateful for the vision that God always gives me to be able to bring different content and different ideas, because that card theme, you know, like looking at that hand and being able to just throw that thing down, like, you know what, that's not going to be my reality. That's not going to be my life. I do have a choice, and I choose the hard way. I choose to go ahead and be the entrepreneur. I choose to listen to what this other person is telling me that doesn't make any sense, but I see where they are. And I see that, you know, money is not everything, but I promise you one thing, 90% of the problems and the issues that I've had in my past, money helped ease away a lot of those things. We're always going to have challenges in life, but when, you know, the finances are in order, it kind of makes you go through life a little bit better, if you will, right?
Frees up time to address other issues. I realize that. Yeah, a lot of my problems went away. Those ones weren't even really problems. Now let's get down to the real stuff.
Let's get to the real business, right?
Being broke. Hold on.
Listen, I mean, you know, we got different levels. What they say, different levels, different devils. So you got to make sure you're always paying attention to what is going on and growing, right? Yeah. And so, man, the last bonus question I ask everyone is, what are you looking forward to in 2021? We've already had 2020 with perfect vision. We've gone through this pandemic. We're still in it. We understand what is going on. 2021, what are you looking forward to?
I have May 22nd circled real big on my calendar. That's when we get to recognize the six-figure ring earners from 2020. Granted, that's a result from 2020, but that's something I'm very much looking forward to.
Yes.
I have an addictive personality. I always want more, bigger, more, bigger. So last year, you know, was blessed to be able to you know, help 3 partners do that. This year, the goal was 5. So
Yes.
so that's what I'm looking forward to, is to do my part to get, you know, at least 5 people there. A whole bunch said they wanted to be one of those 5 at the beginning of the year. That list has gotten more narrow. What are we, 3 weeks in? You know,
3 weeks in.
But I can't take it personal, right? No, most New Year's resolutions only last, you know,
A week, like
week
7 days, if that.
But that doesn't mean that you can't start in February and do it. People have done it before.
You did it in 9 months and you crushed it.
We had someone last year do it in I believe 9 months as well.
Yes.
So yeah, that's what I'm most looking forward to. I love every chaotic day of that journey. I mean, I do. I love every minute of it. I just think this is the coolest thing in the world. I go to bed thinking about it. You know, my alarm's set for 4:30. I'm usually, my wife's ready to kill me because I'm usually like in the bathroom getting ready before 4:30. Then the alarm's blaring while I'm not in the room anymore. Because I'm excited to get at it. I do. Wow. And it just, it's everything.
Beautiful. That is beautiful. I love that. I love that. So guys, we're going to go ahead and shut this thing down. He has managers already calling him. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your time.
Pleasure.
Yes, indeed. And so we're going to shut it down, as behind every success is effort. Behind every effort is passion. And behind every passion is someone with the courage to try. Peace.
All right, girl.